All right, let's jump into it. Where to start? Jeez, metals got absolutely decimated yesterday. I wasn't 100% sure sort of what the actual sort of driver was in the end because it would appear that to me and that anyway from when I was having a look around that maybe like that large sell-off in India on the Nifty was what was really sort of like putting a bit of pressure on the market as a whole. But yeah, it seemed like everything just got absolutely decimated. Just before the end of Asia session, it kind of started, and it just sort of really sort of continued all the way through. I might as well sort of flick it onto this so we can have a look at it. Um, this sort of period through here, it got hammered, and then obviously a little bit of a tried to rally a little bit. What was this last night? And yeah, so yes, sorry, it was about sort of 10, 11 last night, and then bang, smack back down again. So yeah, it was quite a sort of frustrating sort of move, particularly trying to sort of get a position to sort of see, like, because it was such a quick sort of shoot down. You would have expected a fairly fast move back up, but obviously they did that second push down and then hammered down to these sort of main supports here again. So I'll flick back just onto DXY for 2 seconds because obviously this is the main sort of driver with everything, and partly, excuse me, partly my thinking for particularly the price action around the JOLTS data last night. I think is one of really just sort of like the market seeing this. Look, the DXY is sort of selling down. We've broken the key supports through these levels here. So, the market knows that DXY is really on a very sort of strong, this is a very big sort of support area. Once this breaks down here, we're going to see things. I don't think it matters how much sort of, without sort of putting the tinfoil hat on, how much sort of manipulation there can be in the market. Once they break this level down here, we're going to see US dollar crank down. We're going to see Aussie metals there. I think everything's going to fall back into um, its normal sort of correlations. But at the moment, while it's sort of flying around this little area here, we're seeing a lot of sort of play of sort of like, gold will be moving down, US dollar will be moving down. Everything's a bit off at the moment, and it's really hard to get a read on it. Now, my feeling with these kind of things generally is like, when the market's all looking at one sort of solid direction, that's when they can sort of play with people a little bit, burn them out, hit stops, mentally tire them out. And so when the move actually does happen, people aren't there to participate as much. And the people that have sort of, got a better idea and more understanding of how it's all played and put together, can sort of capitalize a little bit more. So I know it's a little bit tinfoil hat, but it seems to be the case. And this is why, particularly like say with gold, you'll see this and what I call it as risk fluid. It can run risk on, it can run risk off. And you just have to sort of pick what is its actual driver at the moment. And as I've said a couple of times, there's like war is not the driver anymore. Like the stuff in Middle East presumably still ticking along. You don't hear anything about it in the news, or maybe like a little bit here and there. Ukraine even is apparently still going on. Well, not even apparently still going on. It is still sort of ticking along on some level. Again, you don't hear anything about this stuff, and they're the major sort of wars that were in the news that everyone's like, oh, look, this is going to progress and go to World War III. And it's not there. It's not the driver. So anyway, we saw the move, obviously sort of moving up through Asia yesterday, and this is around ADP last night. And if you get onto a lower time frame, it really sort of shows it. You can see this drop down here, this 15-minute candle. That's when the news came out. We can see that this major, and this is what I was saying yesterday, that this larger channel here in the purple really sort of is sort of what market's been respecting, came out here just to sort of snap a few people out and then drop back into it. And you can see it's been fairly consistent all the way down. As it was coming into the news yesterday, it was really pinching into this area. But we saw as the data came out, and it was under expectation. So even a sort of push down was not look like, if it came in as expectation, which was a drop off, wasn't going to be great for US dollar. But then it came in even lower. So obviously even weaker for US dollar. And we saw this big drop down here, this big sort of yellow candle. And that's kind of like, okay, well, we've been waiting for this data. We expect it to be. There's a lot of, USD data coming out this week, all expected to be negative for the dollar, and off the bat dropped down, but then it shot straight back up. I mean, this actually is a blue candle, and then pushed out the top side here because so much of the market is looking for this move, and it goes down and it happens. And so what do? They smash into it in the other direction. I know it sounds tinfoil hat, but this is how it plays out. You know what I mean? Like and people sort of going, why, it should be sort of going down, but now it's going up. Maybe it's going to go even higher here, yada yada yada, whatever. And that's just a little way that they play it. Obviously, after a while, the data is what the data is, and yeah, I mean, bigger ones like Jolts is a third tier kind of bit of news. It's not massive market moving stuff, but it does have an impact kind of thing. But it's not like your NFPs or CPIs, which are second tier kind of bits of news. And obviously the rate decision, FOMC being what I call the top tier, because it's really the only one that fully matters. Um, these kind of market, like, eventually the market moves down. Like the NFP, CPI, these things, they can, if it's the opposite direction and they want to run it, they can run it all the way up here and really blow people out. But not so much of the market participating and watching around Jolt's data as they are as to sort of how the CPI or NFP may sort of come out. So, it reverted back down pretty quickly to the direction that you would have expected it to, came back down here into these support areas. And, like I've said, it's a strong support area. We've bounced off the top. Okay, so that's how the sort of Jolts data came out. We've seen it two more times knock into the top side of this sort of falling resistance. So it's fairly safe to say that the market is watching this line coming down here. So if we do get a break above this line over here, we can see that this was obviously, support, a little resistance over here. Change the color of these ones, actually. And over here, actually. Put it back as it always has been. And we've got just coming through here. So this is a reasonable area that you would say if you do break this falling resistance, that we'd probably see this as a little bit of a resistance again. Not necessarily saying that, okay, this is going to knock it back down into this little hole, but sort of like area. But, there's an idea that sort of like if it does come up through here, that these are the kind of zones that you're going to be looking at, which are going to provide little areas which you can see a little bit of a sell down again, and maybe you'd be looking for a back test of the top side of this falling resistance. I don't think, again, you can't tell with what's going on in the market at the moment, that we're just going to get a big rip to the top side here. So it's pinching down, right, coming into a little bit of a triangle through here. As we can see, these are lower highs. We got a sort of a very solid kind of base coming through here. Again, this is what I'm looking for if we can go down underneath it. I think we've got I know we've got ADP tonight. That's going to be the next one. There's a bit of a driver. Market looks to this a little bit. It's not quite as important as the NFP, but it can sometimes be. I've heard it referred to as sort of like it could be a bit of a sort of precursor for what's going to happen with NFP, but a lot of the time I've seen it be a complete opposite to it as well. So I wouldn't sort of really sort of say, oh, look, if ADP is up, NFP will be up, any of this kind of sort of stuff. So yeah, we'll just have to sort of wait and see. I think just have a quick look at how that data is supposed to be coming out. So it's coming out 10:15 tonight, 192 expectation. Oh, sorry, 192 previously, 173 expectation. So it's expected to sort of tick down, as I said. Last month was revised up and beat expectation last month as well. So yeah, we'll see how this sort of goes. But on the top side move for the dollar, these kind of areas I'd expect to sort of be a little bit of resistance. You get above this sort of last night's high at 104.30. I think you might be seeing a little bit more of a recovery up into these levels over here. But again, these was quite strong areas of support, so they're going to be quite tough areas to crack, sort of coming back down. Going back through here and here. So I'll have to see how that one sort of plays out. But again, it's just we see US dollar sell off a little bit, and it just rallies a little bit. So it's really just kind of doing nothing at the moment. It's just grinding, moving sideways slowly. Flip on to Aussie, we just had GDP out. GDP actually came in lower than expectations. Expectations were it to be at zero point 0.2, but last month was revised up to zero point 0.3, and it came in at zero point 0.1. So we're actually seeing Aussie firm up a little bit here. I was saying yesterday up around the top, I sold a lot of my Aussies here. I tried to get back in at the 80s. I thought I was okay here, and then obviously blew back down here, tried to get in again, and blew back down again. So definitely a lot deeper of a pullback than I would have sort of thought for yesterday. So we can have a look at how deep this move has actually come up at the top over here. And if we look at where it's come, 61%. This is a area that comes up time and time again. I mean, you can see it. It's a very strong sort of support area. It's lower risk because obviously you've come all the way back down. We can see, a bit of a horizontal support through this area as well. The 61% down at 32, and it's sort of like it's shot right back up again. So completely undid that whole move. I've been seeing a lot of this kind of stuff happening the last week, whereas it's coming up, it's beating levels just by the smallest little amount. I mean, if you look at this as a 32, and this came down to 30 or 31, coming up the top up here, this went to 95, this one went to 98. You know what I mean? It feels like there's a lot of clearing of positions at the moment. Like it's going just far enough to hit these technical areas, but it's not going any sort of further. It's not continuing. We're not seeing breaks higher. So yeah, I mean, Aussie on the front foot at the moment. We are sort of seeing it sort of tick up a little bit. Let's get on to the 1 hour, makes it a little bit clearer. And you can see, I mean, again, here, we know that the buyers have been here, buyers have been here, buyers have been here, and they did it again. They pushed right up. So look, it's recovering a little bit at the moment. Again, this is how the correlations are off. I mean, maybe they're moving on the idea that last month was revised up. They maybe bashed it down a little bit harder than they thought due to sort of like how the figures did sort of come out. But this month the expectation was at 0.2%, and it came in below that. And I was seeing some sort of reports before that we're hitting sort of the slower sort of points outside of pandemic since 2000 or something like this. So yeah, it's not sort of painting an overly rosy picture for the Aussie, but it is sort of moving up, as you can see right here, and even just gave another little shunt. So I think the market is just really sort of getting prepared for the idea that we are going to see a major breakdown in the US dollar. It's just a matter of how much they want to try to squeeze people, screw people out before that happens. So yeah, Aussie on the front foot here. Moving up, look, I mean, up around this area, I would call above 70, maybe a little bit of a recovery. This certainly is looking a little bit bullish, but given everything that's happening at the moment, there's also a good chance that we see this push up like this, and then for no reason whatsoever, just do this and just really hit this sort of little range. So I'm cautious to be doing a great deal while things are just so askew. Obviously, sort of small positions in the market always, but at the same time, it's hard to sort of get a read on things. And it's certainly in that, I should just say that it suits the in and out trading, lock in the profits, because all these moves, they're just getting undone. If we see this move up here, yes, you bought the break, you caught it, undone. Up here, undone. Up here, undone. You know what I mean? Like, God knows, I'm what the short people are thinking. I mean, they moved down here, well, they're stopped out. You know what I mean? It's yeah, it's certainly a pretty sort of tough conditions in the market to really get a hold on at the moment. Flip across, we got gold, as I said, it got absolutely slammed down as we saw yesterday. Look, I'll put on this other gold chart here because I was having a quick look at this just before. This whole area up over here, which we sort of felt like a bit of a grind, this was our second time up above 24, where we actually made all-time highs at 24.50. I mean, look at that close as well. Now I'm just looking at this is on the 1 hour. Bang, solid close up here, 24.50. Never recovered. But look, the point is, five days we were up in this area, or thereabouts, probably even a little bit less actually if we drag. That's the area above it. So 5 days, actually, yeah, 4 hours, 4 days, 23 hours, so 5 days. And then this grind down here underneath 2360 to 2316, This has been 1.9%, but we've been doing it for 12 days. So this is 1.75, and that felt like, oh, we're up here for a while. We're holding, holding, holding. Bang. This has just been such a grind down here. And a couple of things to take away. I'll get this out of the way here. Um, for me, is that they keep taking out the lows. You know, we got a low here, we got a low here, we got a low here, we got a low here. I mean, last night was the first time that it didn't technically take out the low, 15 to 14 by half a buck or so. I don't know if there's anything to read into that. It's a little bit sort of tight, but again, these are coming in lower highs as well. So although we are sort of seeing it, I mean, this isn't really lines to cover anything, but you can see when you put the highs and the lows vaguely together, we are slowly drifting down with it all. If we can get another push back up to 60, for me, I think that would be a good call to sort of say, hold on, wait, maybe this time is the time. I mean, we're 30 bucks off there. There was a period back here where we were doing 50 buck sessions. You know, these where was it? It was, can't remember, but yeah, certainly back here. I mean, these moves through here. I mean, these are 77 to 20. There's 50 bucks, boom, boom, and then back up again. 50 bucks here, 50 bucks down. You know what I mean? Like when it moves, it can sort of move, but at the moment, it's really just, as you can see, just like a slow car crash. Anybody long is getting stopped out. Anybody short, well, if they got in up here or if they put the stops away above 60, they're still in the game. But certainly, they would have been sweating a couple of times because it has been pushing up and pushing up. So yeah, we'll see how this sort of plays out. At the moment, it's slowly grinding up. It does look a little bit overbought. This is on the 1 hour. Look, I think above 38, we're at 31 now. Above 38 might sort of say, okay, you know what? Let's retest the sort of mid 40s. But for me, I think through this line here, which I'm going to put an alert on, as a main mid main midterm falling resistance. So if we can get sort of back up above this, then I think that might be the time that we can say that this little grind bit here is done. But for now, it's not a big convincing move up. It's just a grind, 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 which, as I said, can very easily on its head just go bang and pop back down. If they try to run DXY up, well, we're going to come back down over here as well. So it's a bit tough to sort of really get too much of a read. It does look, short-term bullish. We've got a little push down here, which then managed obviously to push up and break the highs. But again, you just want to see continuations. Over that level from last night, through here, which if we drag this back, looks pretty reminiscent of sports down over here as well. And if you can sort of drag that all the way back through there, we can see that, it's been sports. Anyway, above 38, I think we might be looking okay. But again, I'm not sort of super confident with these kind of things just at the moment. All right, copper. Like everything else, smack down. It seems to be really sort of firming up a bit of this wedge through here, though. You can see supports coming in here. These red zones are high time frame sort of support areas, just a little bit above, which was my major buy zone, which is fine. I mean, look, if this leg's down here, this is our main support, main rising trend back down over here. So it has been a big sort of pull off through here. But look, this was, I think, where was this? This was on Friday. So to saying, look, we could see the push up, push back down. These aren't exact levels, but you are seeing this kind of stuff happen. So I am still maintaining that we get this overall rounded bottom through this area. I think a push up here, would come in the same time if we do get a push on gold, because all metals go absolutely. I mean, just look at this smackdown yesterday. It was just unrelenting. And again, short of sort of what was happening with the Indian stock market, which I don't understand why that would be sort of having such a broad effect on everything. I couldn't really sort of see what the full reasoning for this sell down was. But it was the same thing on Monday as well. Not nearly as bad, but I think this is around Monday. I can't remember where it was, but certainly on silver we had it around sort of 3:30. So just before the end of Asia. we had a bit of a sharp sell down and then recovered on silver and gold. And then yesterday, sell down, didn't recover. So maybe sort of people were trying to sort of buy the same price action, the next day, and that's why it sort of stayed a little subdued, just to sort of burn them out. Look, I think up towards this little area here, this will be interesting to sort of see what happens in the short term. Just through here. Once we sort of get up over this falling resistance, then as I said, a push up to this level here. So this will be here. And then down to there, I would say, is what I'd be looking for this. If we do get something like this, I will be looking for a pullback here on the outside of the break of this, and then that's when I'll be looking to actually add some longs. But at the moment, there's still a chance that we could leg down to the main trend down here as well. So it's a little bit of a wait and see on this one. China, as I said yesterday, I did have some level through here. I dragged it because I was like, nah, look, I think back down to the mains. And as I said, look, this is just what China does. If you put it on the 4 hour, you see it better. This is the area. This is why we've got it marked out. It's been respected previously, time and time before. Up to the top, down to the bottom. Now it's trying to push up here again a little bit. It's not really much to sort of say about China at the moment. As I said, look, it's just in like a little grind. What it had done previously through its area, I think there's a chance we're into this for a little bit here as well. If we see a break of the US dollar, then obviously that'll flow across to all markets, and we should see a break of these levels. But for now, yeah, it's just grinding sideways, not really sort of adding too much to anything. All right, that's about it from me.